So going on this first deployment was just such a lesson for me of God's plan in this mission for us and God's timing. And the way this worked out for us, as we had Isaac and our team commissioned at Redeemer on Sunday, we left Monday morning for our very first deployment, which we thought might not come for another year or so. We didn't know when we would be deployed out to a national site to go take Isaac out to be a bridge for us to minister to God's people. So such an exciting time to just go out and see how it's done, to see where God was going to lead us.
One really interesting thing I learned that I didn't expect was that these people have gone through a lot of trauma, and I expected them to be really showing it, and what I saw were very resilient people, but then their eyes showed their story before you ever heard it.
It's such a unique way to serve, and in that service I see again and again the resilience, the hope, and the strength we have as communities when things like this happen. People come together, and this ministry is a part of that healing.
Our very first morning, before we ever could leave the hotel room, we get on the elevator with a couple who says, "How's it going?" And we're like, how are you doing? And their eyes well up with tears as they tell us that they've lost everything in the fires. So before we ever even got out to our first work site, we're stepping off the elevator with a couple and praying for them by the elevator. And it was just such a moment for me to see how this ministry works.
First responders really are probably were the most impactful to me to take Isaac to. They were the most excited to see him because these people were coming from Hawaii or back east in Rhode Island, and they hadn't been around their family for weeks. They're coming from so far away, just as we did, to bring comfort and love. And so all we had to give them was a dog, and they were overjoyed by that.
We didn't even know the stories of some people that just saw the dogs and kneeled down and threw their arms around Isaac.
Stuart, I am Isaac's translator or interpreter on Facebook. He tells me what wants me to say. I put it on Facebook for him. And people all over the world follow him. And then they comment and we read it. One of the commenters, her name was Jen, commented on his page saying, "Where are you, in Oregon?" And I told her, and she said, "Well, I was evacuated out of Shady Cove. I know these dogs. I was in Umpqua Community College when they had the shooting 5 years ago." So we were able to make a point to stop at her work at the Chevron station in Shady Cove this morning and visit with her. And she was so absolutely excited. We walked in there and it was like she was bringing home a rock star. She walks in there and she says, "You guys, this is Isaac. He's the comfort dog." And then we all just sat on the floor in the middle of a Chevron station and chatted, and you could just see how excited she was. And Isaac was asleep on the floor and she was just petting him, but she had been so impacted by the dogs when she was in college.
So another thing that was really cool on this deployment was that Jody and Ken and I and Isaac were there physically in Oregon with the people from the wildfires. And we met up with two other teams from around the country, from Ruthie and Rich from Chicago, and then Team Cubby from Colorado. But we also were there with the rest of our team in Spokane from Redeemer. We knew that Christy was praying for us and had sent us off with this amazing poppy seed bread that she had baked for us. And we knew that Gail was sending us questions of things to do in the car on our car ride. And we knew that Doug was sending us text messages that the staff was praying for us. and that we had comments coming in all week long from our team that we were being prayed over. And so it's such a team effort, and we are so appreciative of the support that we had back home and the support we have from around the nation in this ministry. It was just moving for us to see how this ministry works and the plans that God has and the seeds that we could plant. We don't know where they all went, but we were there to just be God's hands and feet and go where He led us.